Hello everyone, welcome to the Sweeney Show, Business and Law Podcast. I'm David Sweeney, and joining me here today is Tadgh Guiry of Evolve Marketing. Tadgh, you're very welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, David.
So Evolve Marketing, I know you're is it a full service marketing company, but do you specialise in legal firms and solicitors?
Yeah, so we actually generally just work with legal firms. So we started a few years ago. I did a degree in marketing and entrepreneurship in DCU, so was always interested in small business and I guess entrepreneurship in particular. And I somehow ended up in a personal injury claims department in Allianz Insurance. Don't ask me how. And at the time, I was sort of wondering what I was doing. It was a year-long internship. And I learned a lot during the year, but thought it might be something that I would do, and it'd be interesting, but it would maybe never stand to me. And
But
I guess
that was obviously in the
later,
that was in the defensive claims, was it?
yeah, so I was on the defense of it. So yeah, I guess now it's come full circle and work on both sides. But I guess that gave me an insight into dealing with firms on a day-to-day, chatting with solicitors, chatting with partners. So when I did decide to start my business, I had that, I guess, insight that, look, the legal industry's been around for forever, and maybe the marketing is the one area that lets some firms down. So I thought there was a bit of an opportunity there for myself. I'd lived and worked in the US, where I helped work with a small startup there. So I had that experience and wanted to start myself. And look, I do enjoy working with other industries, but I just thought there was a big opportunity to bring firms along on the marketing side, because they're so strong in terms of the service they provide. So let's get the marketing up to speed too.
And do you focus on traditional methods, or is it all online? Is it social media, or is it a bit of both? Or
Yeah, the vast majority of the work we do would be online for firms. Just, I guess, it allows us to work with more firms, and the work itself and the campaigns are scalable. But again, we will customize it for each firm. So I always say, look, there's no point doing Facebook, for example, or Twitter or these different things just for the sake of it. So look at where you're getting your clients and where do they engage. For some people, it might even be a case like for one firm, if they work with apartment letting companies, okay, it might not be an online campaign. It might be even an old school letter and something like that. So for the vast majority of the work, it will be online campaigns. But again, it's never to just tick the box. It's okay, where are you getting your clients? And where can we have most leverage?
so you kind of reverse engineer where you want the results and how do you get there?
Absolutely, yeah, sure. Like ourselves and our own business are like, we're our own case study, so we're always trying out different methods when we're trying to get in with firms. Whether it's some of the bigger guys, it might be we did a funny one around Valentine's Day where we sent out Valentine's letters. So we're just always trying to think of something different, both for ourselves and our own business and with our clients' businesses as well.
And if, take for example, a general practice law firm in Ireland, a couple of solicitors has, maybe has a good reputation in their own local communities, has never really got online, heard about social media. How would a firm go about the first steps? How do you get your business online?
Yeah, great question. So generally, you'll see firms come to us, I guess, at different stages. So some will have no online presence, and when they have nothing, we usually say, look, first things first, let's just get a nice website as a shop front up from there. You can't really do anything without a website. It's not the be all end all, and people won't start flocking to your site just because you have it. But it is a good starting point, and it is a good online asset for you to build out. And now you can do it quite cheap, and you can build quite nice sites relatively easy. So that's always the first step, I guess, we tell firms to do. From there, when you're trying to think of, okay, how can I build things online to maybe generate new business, we tie it back in with, okay, what are the firm's goals? Is there maybe a particular service they'd like to grow? For example, if it's like similar to yourself, if it's a personal injury team they have, or if the med neg expertise they have, okay, well, let's decide on those areas and make sure the areas themselves are, I guess, lucrative to go after. It's not a client that's only worth 20 quid, for example. So there's no point in you putting in a lot of resources. So pick an area of your business or of your firm that's profitable. Design a campaign around that. You can still take in work from other areas, obviously, but what are the ones you'd like to focus on, and use that as a bit of a test campaign. So it might be a website and plus one tactic. So it starts small. Don't get overburdened by the amount that's out there.
And if you're, like, obviously all solicitors are members of the Law Society of Ireland, and we're regulated, and there's advertising constraints and regulations. Is that a factor in when you put campaigns in, or what advice would you give people if they're thinking of campaigns or advertising or promoting their business?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is obviously some regulations that I wouldn't say we're restrained by, because I think they're there for a reason. And I guess you don't want to go the other flip of the coin, which is America, which is some services where it gets a bit out of hand. So look, they're there for a reason, and we're glad they're there. But you do have to be aware of them. For some things, it might just be having the line in the footer of your website, so it's a bit of information to people who are on your site. It could be just in terms of the actual ads you're putting out. It could be even in terms of, let's say, one area would be GDPR as well, like who are you contacting and how do you have their information. So there's stuff from the law side, and then there's just like there's good practice, and then there's just ethical marketing as well. So it's just to always keep that in mind. I think the campaigns that do really well are ones that are where you're marketing with people as opposed to people. So they're giving good information, you're giving good value, and you're not trying to like underhand tactics in any way. So I think they're the campaigns that work, and there is obviously regulations and best practice to stay within too.
So there is, like, social media, I suppose, has exploded. Facebook is now 10 years old, and then businesses have caught on in the subsequent years after that these are good platforms to promote their business and advertise. But there seems to be so many. So we have Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We now have TikTok, and maybe one or two others. So like that's quite noisy. Which ones should business be on, or especially a solicitor practice? Which is the best one for each solicitor practice, or what would you advise if you're looking at these social platforms?
Absolutely. Well, I can't consider myself too young because I'm still not on TikTok yet. So when it comes to the other ones, I guess so. It ties into a question you mentioned a second ago, David. So straight away off the bat, when you're building your website, what I do is I put a Facebook pixel on your website. Now, that's sort of marketing terms, but in simple language, what that does is a bit of code, and you put it on your website quite easily, and that allows you to be able to track the data that comes onto your site. You might not use it tomorrow, you might not use it next month, but having that there allows you to, I guess, view the behaviors of people on your site, so you can have a campaign down the line. Then to answer the question there, so there is different social media. So again, tying it into where does your audience live, where do they spend their time? There's stuff that you can do that's, I guess, lowest hanging fruit. So there's like Facebook, a page and stuff like that is great, and it's great maybe if you're just targeting your local community, and same with Instagram. But unfortunately, you're strained by the reach of the algorithm, and that algorithm can change at any point. And so unfortunately, for the most part, to get dividends off these platforms is you need to do some type of paid campaign. Now, I know the times we're in, and paid campaigns probably aren't stuff that people want to get into, but there is stuff like retargeting campaigns that are, I guess, a lot cheaper. And now you're only, I guess, showing your ads to people who have engaged with your site. They might have been on a blog post, they might have been on a particular area of your site. So instead of you just showing it out to, like maybe in the case of a billboard ad where it's everyone and anyone seeing that, it's particular people who are seeing those ads. So that's something that people can do without having to get into the big world of paid ads. In terms of LinkedIn, I love LinkedIn, obviously, because that's where my audience lives. But if you're like just looking for private clients, maybe it's not the best. If you're looking for business clients as a firm, you're trying to open conversations with businesses, then I'd spend 80% of your time on LinkedIn. So again, it's working back from where your audience lives before just, okay, I need to put out a tweet, I need to put up something on LinkedIn, I need to do something on Facebook. Make sure that if you've an hour to spend a week on marketing, that you're putting it into a channel on a platform where you know your audience lives, and that at least you can test then how that does.
And that's just on the content, because you mentioned there, like, you feel you might have to feel you need to put out on Facebook or Instagram. From a solicitor point of view or legal practice, what is the type of content you should be putting out?
Yeah, great question. So again, you should define it based on the service area, like based on your different service areas. So it's what key questions do people have, and they're the ones you should be answering. So how you can do that, one way is you can do it through, obviously people are searching in Google every day, but how can you get traffic numbers on that? So you can do it either through Google Trends, for example, see what's maybe trending within your niche or your industry. You can also do it through just a keyword planner as well. So that gives you an insight, okay, what type of search volumes and how much are people searching for these different questions. Within personal injury, it might be how much is my claim worth? Do I need a solicitor? How long does it take?
And then
So these are the questions people.
you would then put out maybe like a blog post or an opinion piece or something in writing on something that's topical related to your industry, linked back to your Facebook, and all that content is linked and it's up to date and it's topical.
Absolutely, yeah. You're answering people's key questions and concerns. Unfortunately, especially in the legal industry, that sometimes it's a bit of a grudge experience or grudge expenditure that people have to go through. It's usually bad news for the most part if someone's coming to a solicitor. So it's okay, how much can we help these people along the way? And truly give value, as opposed to keeping everything behind gated or paid or like behind a consultation. Like, what can you truly do to help these people through your content? And then it might be like, I always try, because we work with firms and like partners and stuff are so busy, we're always trying to simplify the amount of work and input that they have to do. So ideally you want to get to a stage where you're doing your 20 or 30 minutes of marketing a week, and that might be in the form of a blog post. But then off the back of that, you have a bit of a system. So automatically that gets shared to Facebook. It goes into an email campaign. Your blog gets shared on your website. So you have these different systems in place. And that's I guess what we try to get to with firms, where the partner or the owner is only doing a few minutes of work a week, but off the back of that, it's being compounded a fewfold.
And do you recommend text, photo, video? What's the best form, or varied?
Yeah, it's. I think first off, it's what comes most natural to you. So yourself with your podcast, you're comfortable on video. So do video, where like
I'm
you're doing
learning as I go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, so some people would hide or shy away from it. So if you're a really comfortable writer, obviously a lot of solicitors do it in written form, and maybe in the initial stages try out different media types and then see what resonates with the platform. So for ourselves on LinkedIn, if we're sharing stuff and we're saying, okay, video seems to be doing well, then go ahead with video and do more of a test on that. If you put out some blog posts and people have really engaged with them, keep going with that. But everything we say and do, you're always just testing it. So things change, algorithms change, platforms come on, or new platforms come up. So it's okay, can we have more leverage there? Like what's working, what's not working. You never have a winning strategy for life. So again, we always say as well, so obviously marketing for new business is really important, but like referrals and stuff will always be the lifeblood of a lot of firms. So it's okay, what new tactics or what new strategies can you try out just to keep increasing that new business percentage?
What effect has GDPR on that, reaching out to old clients or the client you haven't had in a few years, you want to send them an email just to say, look, I'm still here, how are you getting on? You know, GDPR is a concern at the moment, isn't it, or has been for a while?
Absolutely, yeah, no, and it's it came in again similar, came in for a good reason. So how we do it is we'll try to do it only when it's around value. So I wouldn't be, let's say, the obvious stuff. Don't buy lists, don't send people stuff you haven't chatted to in 10 years. If you are making an individual email where you're actually trying to help people and give value, if you're doing a campaign, have an unsubscribe link, make sure you're tracking the email list that you have. So there's different stuff, and there's GDPR audits and stuff that we would go through with us as well, just to make sure we're, I guess, following the processes. But yeah, it's just common sense with a lot of the things. Like don't email 500 people who you haven't chatted to in 5 years. They probably don't want to hear from you, especially if it's just a sales email as well. So it's just sort of working with people again.
And do you still think that's an effective way of communicating, the old newsletter type email?
Yeah, so I think the email is honestly the bedrock of every type of strategy a firm should be doing. So for example, when you have all these social media types and these different channels, you're trying to direct them somewhere, or you're trying to get them to do something. Generally, it might be to try and get them to your website, for example. But when they're on your website, what are you trying to get them to do? You're probably trying to get them to have a consultation call of some sort, but not everyone's going to want to do that. So what's like a lower intent way that you can get people, I guess, involved with the brand or on your list? So email is the best way, I think, to do that. And it's probably one of the oldest new forms of marketing, but it's at the bedrock of everything we do, whether it's a paid campaign, whether it's SEO, whether it's new business, whether it's current clients. And firms should look at that, because they might be thinking, look, I'm starting from scratch here, Tadgh, what should I be doing? But if they have a list that they've been chatting to once a month, once every few weeks, of clients who are engaged with the firm, that's a really, really great place to start.
And you just mentioned there again, paid reach. I know, like, if you're running a Facebook campaign, you put out the content and then you're paying Facebook for your content to be in front of that audience. But say like SEO and Google searches and Google AdWords, you're basically paying for the end user or the potential client who's typing in their search or potential search on legal services into Google, and then you want your firm popping up as a result of that search. Is that the difference that it works?
Yeah, how I always describe it is, so Facebook is people advertising, whereas Google is keyword advertising. So for Facebook, for example, thankfully, you can't target people who've just had a car accident, obviously. Whereas on Google, you can target that person through the keywords that they're typing. So they type, I just had it. So that's another one. People ask, should I advertise on Google or Facebook? But I always say, look, can you target the person? You might be looking for someone between 25 and 40 who are maybe looking for their first home. Okay, then Facebook might be a good example. But if you can't target that specific demographic, then go for the keyword. I love Google search, obviously it's really good. Same with the display campaigns, but there's a room for both in a firm's strategy, but it's just that's the main difference.
And then you pay, just in Google AdWords, you pay for the word, is it?
Exactly, yeah. You pay for set keywords. So you obviously pay for keywords that have maybe like buying intent for your firm. So I need a solicitor for a will. I need a solicitor for this, for that. One easy tip for all firms to do is if they are doing a campaign, to make sure you're sending them to that page that the person. So always think back, that person is going to Google and they want to search, or they want an answer to what they're searching. So if they say I need a solicitor for X, make sure you're sending them to that page. They don't want to just go to your homepage where they're learning about where your office is located and this, that, and the other. So make sure you're answering people's questions. And again, that ties into the content we spoke about previously.
So if you're buying AdWords on Google and someone's typing in personal injury solicitor Dublin, personal injury Cork, your firm will pop up, but it'll have that little ad symbol on it. But you can actually organically do that by putting good and relevant content on your website as well, can't you, in regular?
Absolutely, yeah. So the first three results of a Google search will always be an ad. Then after that, I guess it's the fight for the top of Google, which are organic listings. And ideally, that's where you want to be because those clicks are free as opposed to the ones above. Could be 20, 30 euro a click in some markets. So that's really where you want to get to be. And you do that by a few different reasons, a few different ways, I guess. One, it's by seeing the terms that people search. So what do you want to rank for? So personal injury solicitor is a great example. There'll be a lot of competition for that. So what are the few things you can do? So one is to optimize your page on your website that you'll be sending traffic to. So simple things like having the headline as the same as the keyword, having your images the same as the keyword, putting that keyword in there as much as possible. Then also getting backlinks to that page. So how can you get links from external and internally that show Google that that's a high authority page in that area? And there's other ways of doing it as well. And SEO is a huge area. And I think especially now in these types of times where firms are maybe pausing their Google ad spend, they're not too sure, they don't have the cash flow to be pumping money into paid ads. And we're seeing that with a lot of firms we work with, that they're reinvesting, I guess, time and energy and money into the SEO side of things. And so look, ideally that's where you want to get to, but it is a longer term process. The good side of it, the positive side of paid advertising is you can skip the queue and get to the top. So there's pros and cons to both, obviously.
It sounds like that a kind of a prudent thing to do for any sister firm when they're starting out is maybe obviously hire an expert like yourself or a marketing company that has experience, but to have a marketing audit carried out. Is that possible to have something like that done?
Yeah, like we always say, every marketing campaign should be like done as a result of a decision in the boardroom. So it should really tie in with strategic goals. And but there'll be sometimes we'll quite often say, okay, there's no need for you to do a paid campaign here. There's no need for you to do X, Y, and Z. Just focus on this. Like, who do you even want to target? Like, so it's sometimes taking that step back. I think a lot of the times, like owners of firms will sort of like, they know they should be doing marketing and they don't because there's so much in theory about it. But we try to just simplify that back and say, look, let's just run a really small test over the next month or two and see what we can learn from that. Off the back of that, we might be in a position maybe, even if it's 9 months down the line, to run a campaign. So it's just keeping it simple at the start, and then go from there.
It's great advice. And if obviously we're in unusual territory, unusual times at the moment, COVID-19, What advice do you would give to firms in a general sense of how to market your firm through COVID-19? Should firms be continuing to market now, or what's your advice or your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great question, and one we're getting, I guess, from other businesses as well as firms. And how we see it, so there's sort of two types of marketing. So there's direct response marketing, which a lot of the work we would do would be focused on, and there's what's called, I guess, brand marketing. So brand marketing, I guess, through the years was always stuff that the huge corporations did, and it wasn't really available for small or mid-sized businesses. It's the big TV ads, it's the big billboards, and it's sort of like, how can we now shift to brand marketing? Because we think at the moment direct response is maybe a bit insensitive in a lot of cases, where you're trying to get sales, consultations. So how can you move towards brand marketing without the big budget of TV ads? Well, we say that to do that through content. So for example, this podcast is a great example. Maybe a potential client might get a tip or two, and then in a few weeks' time they'll reach out to you. So how can you, I guess, work with the community you're in? How can you help your prospective clients? What can you give out? Like we're doing a lot of, let's say, just ebooks ourselves and PDFs. We're telling our clients to do the same. I'd probably just be cautious of where your outgoings are with marketing. So be careful with your Google Ads campaigns. Just monitor them a lot more closely. Same with your Facebook ad campaigns. I think we, as like a lot of the work I do would obviously be with paid traffic. So you're looking at it on a day-to-day to see, does everything collapse? Because you're not sure, because there's no consistency. No one really knows what's happening. There is value to be gotten, but it's just changing that shift, I guess, where you're not trying to like get a transaction from every person. You're truly, again, just trying to help people, give the information that will help them in their decision, in the problems they have. And it's similar enough, I guess, to our ethos before as well, but just being a bit more cautious of what you're asking.
Very good. Tadgh, thank you very much for your time. That's been a really informative podcast. If anyone wanted to contact you or reach out to you, how would they do it?
Yeah, it's probably best through our site. So it's evolvemarketing.ie. I'm on LinkedIn as well, Tadgh Guiry, and you'll find that there through the website. But yeah, would love to chat to anyone. If there are any questions as well, just hit me up on LinkedIn. It's probably the best place to get me.
Perfect. Tadgh, thank you so much again for your time, and we wish you all the best. Thank you, everyone.